Step 4 of the service acquisition process is the most challenging. A clear and concise requirements document is critical to the success of your effort. This overview introduces the requirements roadmap tool that will help capture your key performance elements. The first 3 steps of the service acquisition process must be completed before your roadmap can be effectively developed. What is a requirements roadmap? Essentially, it is a worksheet that will help you build your performance work statement or statement of objectives and quality assurance surveillance plan. The roadmap captures the main performance objectives that are directly linked to your vision, mission, and stakeholders' needs that you captured in Step 2. The roadmap then establishes performance standards and AQLs for each objective. Once the standards have been established, the method and type of inspection must be determined. There must be alignment among these elements to efficiently deliver your desired stakeholder results. The incentive column will be addressed after the completion of your business case analysis in Step 5. Once completed, the performance objectives and standards become the core of your performance work statement or statement of objectives. The performance objectives and standards combined with the method and type of inspection become the basis for the quality assurance surveillance plan. When using best value source selection, cost-benefit trade-off analysis, the performance objectives become the foundation for the technical evaluation plan. The roadmap worksheet is the key tool to help you build these documents. Start by identifying the performance objectives needed to achieve your stakeholder results. Performance objectives describe the specific results needed. Do not use adjectives and adverbs when describing performance objectives. Let's look at 2 examples. Maintain a computer support help desk or conduct studies and analysis of roadside improvised explosive devices or IED countermeasures. It is important to accurately describe these performance objectives as clearly as possible. These should directly connect to the results needed. Once you've identified a performance objective, you must define how well it needs to be performed. This sets the benchmark against which the contractor's performance will be measured. Performance standards are defined using adjectives or adverbs. How fast, how complete, how thorough are just a few examples. Performance standards can address timeliness, such as response time, or asset availability, or performance quality levels such as errors per unit or first call problem resolution. For something requiring studies or analysis support, you might have a standard such as provide in-depth analysis with supportable alternatives, or that the reports be completed 90 days after award. In all cases, you need to address what level of performance is needed. You can set different performance standards within the same performance objective, such as a shorter response time for emergency requests and longer response times for routine requests. Standards are the cost drivers in most service acquisitions. Make sure you tailor the right level of performance necessary to meet mission needs without overstating it. AQL stands for Acceptable Quality Level. This area acknowledges that some variation to a standard may be acceptable. Contractors are expected to meet a performance standard, but 100% compliance can be expensive and hard to inspect. If there are some areas where you can tolerate variation, then that is captured in the AQL. In our example of the computer help desk, our standard is call will be answered within 4 rings, but you might be able to tolerate some variation of, let's say, 90% of all calls received are answered in 4 rings. If you leave the column blank, then there is no AQL and compliance with the standard becomes firm. In our other example, the report must be completed within 90 days after award. You might be able to have some flexibility, but the report should be delivered no more than 5 days late. Next, define the inspection approach to make sure the standards have been met for each performance objective. You also need to identify who is going to conduct the inspection. Normally, this falls on the government's contracting officer representative, COR, COTAR, QAE, TPOC, or other term used for the individual responsible for inspection. Validating contractor performance is an essential part of the service acquisition process. For our example, the COR will be responsible for the inspection. You must now identify what the COR is going to inspect. This can be contractor logs or reports, customer feedback reports, observations, or documented delivery dates. As you develop your inspection column, what happens if you don't have the time, resources, or technology to inspect? If that is the case, then you need to go back and readdress the performance standard. The calculation column is where you determine the formula to use in calculating performance results. Using our computer help desk example, the formula is the number of calls answered within 4 rings divided by total number of calls. If the contractor received 100 calls during a month and 95 were answered within 4 rings, the resulting 95% success rate exceeds our 90% AQL and therefore meets our performance standard. For problem call resolution, since no AQL was established, compliance must be 100% and therefore the calculation is pass-fail. Not everything is so easily calculated. Some performance standards such as equality and depth of analysis may be subjective and rely on customer feedback. This is typical for A and AS services. It all depends on the context of the performance objective and standards you set. One method of quantifying subjective measures could be to use a numeric customer feedback rating as indicated. As for reports delivered in the defined format within 90 days after award, it would be a straight determination. Delivery was either in our 5-day window or it was late. Now you need to determine the method of inspection. There are 6 major types or methods of inspection. Your job is to determine the most effective and efficient type of inspection for each performance standard. Using your risk analysis is a good guide in determining the type of inspection. High-risk areas may require a higher level of inspection with more frequency than lower-risk areas. The incentive column is developed in Step 5 as part of your business strategy. Incentives can be monetary and non-monetary, positive or negative. We will discuss performance incentive strategies at greater length in Step 5. Once you have completed your roadmap worksheet, you will have the basic outlines for your performance work statement, quality assurance surveillance plan, and technical evaluation plan.